Welcome to the third video introducing Flask IPFilter. In the first couple videos we introduced the concept, talked about what Flask is, and then I showed you the three different rule sets that come with Flask IPFilter that let us determine whether we should allow access to a particular IP address. In this video I'd like to show you the concept of a callback function that can be invoked after an access has been either permitted or denied. This can be useful for feeding an IDS database. It can be useful for keeping logs. It could be useful for messaging to Slack or some other notification system if we get too many failed attempts in a row. Things like that. The sky's really the limit because this is a framework to let you develop your own software, and we just give you the hooks to make it easy. So where we ended up at the end of the last video was we have a website, we have a decide function that will tell us whether we get access or not, and right now the decide function always returns false, and so any access to this website is going to be forbidden. Now I would like to know when someone is attempting to access the website that isn't authorized. Maybe this is a restricted API call that I only want certain addresses connecting to, but I don't want to just ignore it if someone's trying to connect from the wrong IP address. I want to know about that so I can do something about it. So let's define a new function called after_deny. And this is just for the sake of simplicity going to print denied so that we can see that something's happening. Actually making this happen is really simple. We have our IP filter here, and I'm just going to invoke register callback after deny is the name of our function, and this is going to happen when access is not allowed. We've reloaded our server, and I refresh this, and you can see that this function was actually called because we printed the word denied out to the log. Now, this has access to the full Flask request context, which we imported up here, so you could print a lot more than denied. You'll have access to the full URL requested, the source IP address and headers, the cookies, everything else that you can do with what you like. Similarly, if we want to invoke some function when we allow access, we can define after allow, and we can print something there. Register it in a similar way. And this time allowed is true. All right, now this won't do much for us because all of our accesses are denied. But if we were to modify our decide function to give us access, then we would see the allowed message printed out here. So you can have multiple functions registered on both of these. There's no limitation. They'll be called in the order that they were registered. You could have a function that logs to one system, another function that integrates with an intrusion detection system, maybe a third function that keeps some kind of a running tally to send out alerts or notifications. You can register as many of those as you want. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about Flask IPFilter, and if it suits your needs, I hope you'll check it out. Feel free to connect with me by email or through the GitHub page, Doug/Flask IPFilter. And if you have code improvements, you can even fork this repository and make some improvements yourself, and I would be happy to incorporate them. Thanks so much for watching.